When should I consider getting a working capital loan? And businesses rarely kind of ask the question this way. I mean, when they come through Emily or they send their request, they're usually not saying, I really need a working capital loan. Usually what they'll say is, can my business get a line of credit? Or if pressed, they will say, look, my business is having a hard time covering its costs while we wait for customers to pay us. And that really is the definition of a working capital loan. A business needs working capital when there's a gap in their cash flow between the money that they have to pay out to suppliers, to the government, to employees, and the money that comes in from customers. And so when the amount of money that a business has to pay out doesn't match the money coming in, there's a problem and there's a gap. If your business can prove that that gap exists pretty consistently over a historical period of time, maybe 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, then banks usually are pretty interested in helping with you or helping you fix that problem or helping your business fix that problem. But if there isn't historical consistency to it, that it sort of seems to be more one-off or periods of time where that happens, if you're a seasonal business as an example, then maybe an alternative way to address the working capital that you think your business needs is to consider something called factoring or accounts receivable financing. And that's basically where on a per customer basis, so if you've got a bunch of customers that owe you money, a lender will come along and say, look, we will lend against the amount of money that those customers pay you. So if you have invoices that you've issued to 10 or 20 customers, we will lend you money against those invoices, we'll charge you some interest, and when each of those customers pay you, we will deduct the money we lent you plus the costs and give your business back the difference. So factoring or accounts receivable financing is something that can also help your business if you find yourself in that position of needing working capital. On a side note, one of the indicators that you might need some working capital is what's called a working capital ratio. And that kind of fancy talk, but basically it means that for all of the immediate expenses that your business has, does it have the cash or the equivalent of cash to cover those expenses? So the general rule of thumb is that your business should have $2 for every $1 of immediate expenses. So $2 of cash or cash-like assets for every $1 of immediate expenses like your payables and some of the expenses that you're going to have to pay right away. If you think your business needs working capital, then I'd encourage you to visit mlenow.ca, of course. See if your business qualifies firstly. How are you going to be able to do that? You can get an Emily score for your business. It takes less than 5 minutes to do. You don't have to put in any personal information whatsoever. You can register with an email address. But once you go through the exercise, you're also going to be able to see all the banks, the interest rates, and depending on the score of your business, you'll be able to match it to the score of banks or lenders that can hopefully approve and fund you.